Hello and welcome once again to our family workshop. Now, Valentines is always a busy time of year for us here at our family workshop, and in this video we're sharing a few ideas that you might consider as designs to make for Valentines. We start this process by developing our design on paper. So we draw our design on the paper and then transfer that design onto the wood by gluing the paper design onto the wood itself. We're using stack cutting for these projects, so we add the top layer and bottom layer to one another by putting 4 little dabs of super glue in the 4 corners, allowing us to cut out 2 outlines at the same time. The original intention with this project was to create a key ring for couples. But something that happens at different times when we are making things, as the process goes along, we've actually changed what we're doing for practical reasons. I felt that this particular design, the jigsaw heart held together by a key, it was going to be a little bit delicate for a key ring and it would break too easily. So as the process went along, I felt it was more suitable to turn these projects into hanging decorations. Doesn't affect the design, doesn't affect the making, just means that I was a bit concerned about people having these as a key ring. It was more likely to get broken, so I felt it was better to make a hanging plaque instead. Previously, we have demonstrated how to make a jigsaw style heart and turned it into the key ring. But with the addition of the key, you're adding another element to the design. Now, I've used a light coloured wood and a dark coloured wood. This means that later on we can put the light coloured key with the dark woods and the dark coloured key with the light woods, giving nice contrast and additional interest in the design. Now, out of the projects we're demonstrating, this one is probably the most straightforward. So you're doing that internal cut on the key, we're doing the external cut on the outside of the surround, and that jigsaw style cut down the middle of the heart. So relatively straightforward project. We then finish it off by adding those 3 coats of shellac sanding sealer, rubbing it down in between each coat, and a finishing coat of linseed oil mixed with beeswax. Putting the design together, we use the holes that were originally intended for being used on that key ring to add some ribbon through, tie it together, and this would allow this design to be added as a hanging decoration. Relatively straightforward and a nice little product as a Valentine's gift. On to our second project. What we're going to do with this one is to create 3 products from our one cut on the scroll saw. Method we're using is line art, a lovely process and one that we use regularly here at our family workshop. So we've designed everything out on paper. The design that we have developed includes 2 cupids either side of a rose in a modified heart surround. We stick our paper outline onto the wood itself using a PVA glue solution. We then stick 3 layers together. We're using some ash, oak and teak. 3 thin layers that can be stuck together, but later on it means that we have 3 products that we can make from our one project cut. With line art, you're creating that outline using the lines cut on your scroll saw. Line art is a fantastic method that we can use to recreate some of the effects that we add to projects using wood carving skills. So if your main area of interest is scroll sawing, you can create some of those wood carving effects by using line art instead of hand carving the projects out. The process for doing line art projects is to drill the hole using your pillar drill, sand the back of the wood nice and flat to make the scroll sawing slightly easier, and then proceed to cut out all of the individual lines into the design itself. Cut out the cupids, the bow, the rose, and the other cupid using the scroll saw to create that line art image. It's an effective process, and if you're using things like candles or LED lights in your project, the light can shine through the gap and really bring out that image and that contrast in colours. Once you've finished with your scroll sawing, you cut that basic outline as well of the whole project afterwards, sand everything nice and smooth on your belt sander, and then we proceed across to turning the 3 line art panels into different projects. 2 of the projects are linked, so we're using our coronet saw to make panels for boxes. The first project then will be a simple box as a desk tidy or a pen or pencil holder. The other project will be a money box. So we adjust our coronet saw to get the panels to the right size and the right shape. Cut the side pieces, the back and the base for our desk tidy on our coronet saw, and afterwards we're going to super glue those together. To develop the idea of a simple box, our desk tidy or pen or pencil holder idea, what you can do is to make a lid, scroll saw out a small slot in the top, use the coronet saw to cut recesses into our side panels, and this will allow us to create a money box. So the lid itself we will super glue to the front line art panel. The back of the box, the sides and the base, they will all be super glued together to create a 2-part money box. The idea is that lid and front panel will slide into the main body of the box. You can add your money as you go along, and when you want to access your money, you simply slide the top and front panel away from the main body of the box. You'll also notice that we've added that little piece to the lids and the front panel. That is to give it all a little bit of extra strength so it doesn't fall apart easily. The final of the 3 products that we're going to create from our line art cut is a simple candle holder. We demonstrated candle holders before. This one is slightly different because instead of drilling a hole as we have previously demonstrated, we've developed this product, and what we do, we create a base, a second piece with a hole cut out in the middle to put our tea light into, and stick this top panel and bottom panel together. It's a more refined style, and we feel it's a better product than drilling a hole into the base. We then stick that front panel together, and then to finish off the 3 line art projects, we add 3 coats of shellac sanding sealer, rubbing it down in between each coat. We then add a final coat of linseed oil mixed with beeswax just to refine the finish. 3 different products that we have made from that one line art cut that all have a Valentine's theme. On to the final project of the 3, and this one features Lovebirds, another suitable symbol for a Valentine's present. We have drawn our design onto paper once more to get us started. We can then transfer that design onto the wood by gluing it using a PVA glue solution. Stack cutting is once again the method we're going to use, and we're going to stack cut 4 different coloured layers. For this project though, the stack cutting, the most significant part is those 4 different layers have different colours. So later on, what we will be able to do is to mix those different layers together to create an interesting image in our Lovebirds design. We've drilled the holes out for the eyes of our Lovebirds that later on we will fill that gap with coloured super glue. We sand the back of the 4 layers to make sure they're going to sit nice and flat on our scroll saw, and then we proceed with cutting out different parts of the design. So the first thing we do, the heart that is going to be used in our different products, that gets cut out, the 4 layers. We then separate the different sections of the Lovebirds. So the body, the wing, the tail, the feet, the head, and the beak, they're all cut out to give us different sections that can be mixed and matched afterwards to create those different products. The two products that we're going to make from our Lovebirds design, we're going to make a pen holder, and we're also going to make a letter rack. So the pen holder design, we've already designed that out. So we mark a base, mark the background as well onto some wood. We cut the background out on our scroll saw because it's a slightly thinner piece of wood. The base then is a thicker piece of wood because we're going to need it to drill holes into afterwards for our pen holder. So we've chosen to cut the base out on the bandsaw. Bandsaw though leaves saw marks after it is finished cutting. So to get rid of those saw marks, we use the side attachment on our belt sander and smooth everything off to a finer, better quality finish. We also use the main body of our belt sander to shape everything and to smooth it off, take off any little lines that are left over in preparation for putting our pen holder design together. We're using our Starbond super glue once more. So we start off by sticking the heart onto the wood itself. We then select the different parts of the Lovebird design that we're going to add. We super glue the Lovebird onto the design itself, add the colored super glue to the eyes, and also add a line of colored super glue between the different parts, so between the wing and the main body and the head, just adding a little bit of extra definition to the design. Once we've added that super glue, we then go across to using our hand carving skills and we start the process of carving everything out. Now, one thing that happens in this process is I actually managed to knock one of the feet off and I couldn't find it afterwards. So I had to remake a foot for one of the Lovebirds, restuck it to the design so I could finish the pen holder off. We add a little bit of detail using our hand carving skills. We drill holes using our pillar drill that afterwards will be used for putting those pens or pencils into, and then super glue the base and the back of the two designs together. We'll have the Lovebirds and heart at the front of the design and the pencils will go behind. We mentioned that we got a second product that we're making and that it is a letter rack. So we use a template to mark out the front and back panels. We check the wood over as we do this to make sure the panels are clear of any issues, cracks, twists, warps, splits, that sort of thing. We go on to our bandsaw and we cut out each of the panels, so the surround for the front and the back. It's like an oval design that we're using. We go on to the belt sander and we take off any saw marks that are left over by our bandsaw. We will shape the oval surround. We then go across to the other attachment, the main body of our belt sander, and sand the faces nice and smooth. We're sanding the base. I haven't shown the making of that, but in between the front and the back, there will be a little piece of wood that will be the base to our letter rack, keeping those two pieces, the front and the back, away from each other and allowing any letters to be put in between. Cross to our workbench once more, where we are beginning the process of super gluing our design onto the front of our letter rack. We start off by measuring out for where the heart will be positioned, and on either side of that we work out for adding our Lovebirds. We're using that coloured super glue to add extra definition, and our hand carving skills just to finish the design off. So the hand carving, it rounds everything off and gives it a nice finished shape. To put together our letter rack, we super glue our front panel to the main body, to the base. We then super glue the back panel to the base and then turn our attention to the process of finishing our products. Once again, that simple method, you add 3 coats of shellac sanding sealer. rub it down in between each coat using a fine sandpaper, making sure that you're working in the direction of the grain at all time. A finishing layer then of linseed oil mixed with beeswax. So there you go, those are 3 different scroll saw themed Valentines projects for you to have a go at making. From those 3 designs, we have then made a number of different products. So hopefully that demonstration is useful for showing how we evolve products and make different items for the scroll sawing that we do. If it is of interest, remember you can get those free templates by checking out the link in the description. Get across on our website. We put up those templates for free for you to use. If you're new here and you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell so you know when we upload another video. And as always, thank you again for watching.